Alrighty, let's go. Where's our music? All right. Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go over if you're walking in darkness, then use the Torah, right? So many times that we find ourselves in darkness, we find ourselves doing these things, we find ourselves in a dark place. And what do we do about it? Do we use the Torah? Or do we just say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry? And in these things, do we seek the Creator? Or do we just do what we want to do? A lot of times what we've been told, I think, is we live our life the way we want to live our life, and we don't understand why it is in such a messed up, horrible thing, right? And when we don't understand that, we don't really understand what's going on. Does that make sense? When we don't understand what's going on, what do we do about that? How can we help ourselves to get out of these problems? How can we help ourselves to get away from these things? Well, the problem is, again, if we're not careful, we don't understand the Torah is our light. It is our way to get off this terrible path of this darkness, of this depression, of all these things that the world has put upon us, the enemy has thrown upon us. Is it not amazing the scripture says that the gates of hell will not prevail against us? For the mitzvah is a lamp, Torah is light, and reproofs that discipline the way to life. They keep you from an evil woman, from a loose woman's seductive tongue. Don't let your heart lust after her beauty or allow her glance to captivate you. And in today's world of social media, people are worried to death about what the woman's clothes is or is not on her. But may I submit to you that your mind and your imaginative mind could be far worse than what that woman looks like, right? You hear a woman's voice. We have, for some reason, these women don't want to show their face. They don't want to show themselves. They won't want to show who they truly are. And what we come out of that is people lusting after them because they have their dream girl, right? They have their dream girl right there. That's their dream girl. Her voice is the seductive part of it, right? Her voice is what's showing them this. But are they a part of that? Are they saying, oh, wait a minute, this is what I see? Make sense? So the problem is, again, it can be just as bad, just as evil, just as horrific if we let these women seduce us. And a lot of people, will say, well, that's only if it's seducing, even if they got their clothes off. But may I suggest, just like the scriptures say, that it can be just as bad, if not worse, if we don't watch our minds, if we don't watch ourselves, if we don't watch what the commandments say, right? Proverbs, talking about the Torah, right? For this commandment is a lamp. It's a light into my feet. Proverbs 6:23. Moses, the Torah, and the hidden light. What we have to understand is the light created on the first day was hidden, right? Who was this light that we went over before? Light is Yeshua. The verses, all this is about Yeshua. And Yeshua draws us right back to whom? Yahweh. This is all about Yahweh. And this is how we know how we're pleasing the Father. This is how we know that we are yet saved. How can we be saved if we don't do the will of the Father? That's about as nonsensical as saying, well, I love my father and he loves me, but every time I go to his house, I break out his windows. What? Yeah, and he calls the law and has me thrown in jail, but every time I go back, I break out his windows, even though he told me not to break out his windows. Is there something you don't understand? Or is there something? No, that's just our thing. But yet we go and break the law of Yahweh. And we think that he sent his son that we can continue to break his law. No, that's not the way this works. He sent his son that we won't pay the penalty for breaking the law. But no one ever said continue in sin. Actually, the scriptures say forbid it, right? Torah is the light. Yeshua is the Torah. Real easy to see, right? The Hebrew word Torah, ora, means light, right? The oracles, all these things that the world knows and they try to seek out, they're just not seeking the truth. They're trying to seek the darkness. So from the word comes the Torah. When you see the light in the Bible, it means the Torah. You're either looking at the mirror of either the Torah, the light, or Yeshua. And that is what you are trying to become, right? You are truly trying to become like Yeshua, right? The whole point of Yeshua is, again, to show us not that we can continue in sin, that he did not sin. That makes absolutely no sense that he come to not sin and then to show us we can sin. That don't make sense, right? To churchianity, it makes sense because they want to live in sin. They want to continue in their sin. They want to live in all these sinful nature things. But if they're not walking in the light, they're not walking in Yeshua, which again, it keeps this reoccurring theme. If you're not walking in Yeshua, who are you walking in? And I believe that's why the church cannot use, or should I say churchianity cannot use that, because that's not true. They can't get up there, and they know better than get up there and use the true names, because they probably wouldn't make it out the door in some cases, right? To get up and have all these abominable things of what they're saying. That's why they got to use Jesus, and they got to use this, he supports adultery. He supports this. He lets all these people go. He says all this and all the half-truth, if not plain out lies of what's going on here, right? The Torah, a primitive route to direct, to point out, to shoot, like with an arrow. This is what we are trying to do. If this ain't what you're trying to do, then you're probably not a true Torah person. If you're not trying to hit the perfect mark, if your mindset is not hitting the mark perfectly, don't matter grandma, grandpa, sister, brother, any of that, you personally, if you are not trying to hit the perfect mark, then you're probably not of the way, you're probably not a Sabbath keeper, you're probably not really Torah observant, which, what is that anyway? I'm Torah observant. You know there's a Torah? Are you a Sabbath keeper? Some people even say they're Sabbath keepers and they're not. But anyway, so we add the prefix, the tav, and the word becomes he shall point out, he shall direct. Again, how can someone be saved? How can somebody have the truth and they don't know the truth? Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, how can you be saved and you don't even know what that means? You don't even know the meaning of salvation. The meaning of salvation in itself is Yeshua. Yah is my salvation. And these again are facts. This is not, nobody knows. If nobody knows, then we're doomed. If nobody knows anything, we're all doomed and we're all just, it's over anyway. So it doesn't matter. But wait a minute, the Besorah, Yeshua himself says, the Torah says, we have all this evidence to prove we do have a way. There is a light. There is a way for me to find Yeshua, salvation. But it's not through what I want to do. It's not through what Pastor Bob wants me to believe. It's not that way. It's a way of truth, right? The way of Torah. To bring to light, to give light, direction to him. The problem is there's a lot of people who think themselves smart. And what does he say about the people who think themselves smart? He will confine the wise. The people who think that they have all these little nice degrees on their wall and these nice certificates and all this, doctorate degree and this degree and all that. If you're not following Yahweh and his Torah, then what's all that worth? What is all that education good for if you don't know the way to salvation? You can be professor, you can be doctor, you can be super scientist, whatever you call yourself. But if you're not following Yahweh, then what's all that good for? And how can you have his wisdom if you won't even follow him, right? If you're going to continue to say, nobody knows Torah, nobody knows, nobody can keep, if that's your mindset and you won't budge from it, how would he give you how would he impart any of this wisdom to you? Because you yourself are professing out of your mouth, right? So when you profess all these things, then why would he give you anything? Torah, he shall give light and direction. Light and direction. Does the world have that? No. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and instruction the way of life. Proverbs 6:23. It's sad that I just heard something twice now that Putin is telling us we should read our Bibles. Did you ever think that the people, but see, that's the problem. In God we trust. Which God? Whom? Which one is it that we trust? See, it'd be awesome if we had Yahweh, right? But no, we got in God we trust. So now we have another country, a leader of another country, telling us how we should read our Bible, how we are immoral, how we have pedophiles, and it's not a lie, is it? It's not a lie. We see it all the time on the news. It's so much in the news that we don't even seem to bother with it. We don't seem to pray against it. We don't seem to bother. We're too busy attacking brothers and sisters and doing abominable things on the Sabbath. Then we're worried about our own family. If you want to attack somebody, go tell your pagan grandmama, go tell your daddy, go tell your mama they need to get right with Yahweh. There's who you should be attacking and approaching, and not even attacking them. You should be giving them the good news. But continually, we got the bat upon the head because some Lilith lady with some spirit thinks she knows it all. It's horrible that all these demonic people think they have a right to do the things that they're doing. And instead of us fighting back, instead of us combining together, we continue to fight and argue and go against. And very few people want to stand with Torah. Very few people want to stand and keep the Torah and keep the Sabbath and guard the Sabbath. They're too busy throwing away every other commandment they can find because they don't want to do it. I don't want to do that commandment, so that doesn't pertain to me. I don't want to do this, but then why are you talking about it? Why do you talk about anything? I don't understand why people proclaim to be teachers or scholars or professors or doctors or whatever they claim to be, and yet they don't claim Yahweh is. They too busy saying we don't know. How can we know? How can we do this? How can we? That's confusion. That's not of Yahweh. Fear is not of Yahweh. For the commandment is a lamp and the law is a light. Yahweh is our light. Yeshua is that very light to show us it can be done. But yet churchianity is there to tell us every day, every Sunday, that they can't be done, that you can't do it. And they're so quick to quote the scripture, Philippians, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. But they forget I can do all things through the Mashiach who strengthens me. The Mashiach who has shown me, the Mashiach who knows no sin, the Torah that tells me not to sin, the Creator who tells me don't sin. But no, let's just only stick with 3 that we like. Let's only do a couple. Let's only do this. So in closing, even in keeping Sunday church, would that not be breaking the commandment? Would that not be in part of breaking? I'm asking. People always, what did you say? Did you? I'm asking a question. If you know better, I put it to you like this, since we just have to go to worldly things because we don't understand biblical concepts. If you thought it was okay to go get drunk in a bar with a bunch of strippers, would that be okay? Would that be okay to go to your wife and say, and she's saying, no, 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 stay at home. I'm young. I'm this, I'm that. We're going to take care of it. And you said, no, I don't agree with you. Well, I'm going to divorce you. Well, I don't really care. I don't think you have grounds for divorce. But none of that matters to me. I'm going to go present to these people the truth. And I'm going to bring my Bible. And I'm going to, is that really what we're doing? Is that kind of what we're doing when we take commandments and we take Sunday church? If you knowingly know better that the Sabbath was yesterday, then what are you doing in a Sunday church? Oh, you're helping them. You're better than, I guess, all the prophets of the Bible that went and did biblical things. You're more important than they are, right? You must be, because you're going to change them, pagans, to Sabbath keepers. But is that not just by you being there proving that they're over you, that they're winning, that they have suckered you into going to Sunday church? And I know why people go, because they want people. But if you want people, get true brothers and sisters. Stop attacking your brothers and sisters and wondering why you can't get along with them, right? Because it's a narrow path. So we'll close with, remember Yahweh. Remember the light of Moses. Remember what Yahweh gave into Moses. Malachi 4:4. Even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, even in Malachi, even in these verses, I am Yahweh, I change not. But we have this dirty, nasty, abominable doctrine of he changed it all. We have a new covenant. No, you don't have a new covenant. You do not have a new covenant. There is no new covenant as of now. It's not in place. Because if there's a new covenant, in this new covenant, we don't know death. We don't know sickness. We don't know. The last time I checked, there's people being buried. Matter of fact, one of my cousins just died. So somebody should have informed him that this new covenant kept him from dying. I guess one of y'all that believe in the new covenant and non-death and all these things that you proclaim, go resurrect him. Please. If you really believe you're in this new covenant and it's all written into your heart, surely it should be a simple thing for you to go to his gravesite and tell him, come forth. His name's Rick. I challenge you, go try it. If you can do the things that the new covenant says you can do, then do them. If not, just like the saying of old, lead, follow, or get out of the way. So until next time, Yahweh bless you. Shalom. Have a great and wonderful time